Welcome back, rap fans. I can't believe that I haven't made this video already. As you can see from the title, we're going to talk about the Smoke and Grooves tour. I made a Smoke and Grooves tour, Memories of the Smoke and Grooves, or something like that, from '96, and then one for '98. And I thought I made one for '97, but it turns out that I didn't. And I was like, no, I know I made this video. So as I started searching around through my videos, I realized that I just talked about it. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. I just talked about that tour here and there on other videos, bits and pieces here and there, but I never talked about it in its entirety. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to talk about some memories of the Smoke and Grooves tour, 1997. Now I got my trusty, or one of my 3-ring binders that I keep all of my flyers and ticket stubs and backstage passes and all of that stuff. And I'm gonna find some stuff about the Smoke and Grooves tour. Where is it? For '97. Here we go, right here. Okay, so check this out. First thing I want to do is I want to describe this tour for you. The lineup. This was a rap and sometimes R&B, funk. It was mostly a rap tour that was going around, and they just did one, I think, a year ago in LA, but it was only like a one-shot deal. It had a huge lineup, and but other than that, I think '98 was the last like tour that they had where they toured all over the place. um, the lineup for 1997. Now, this was when I was still living in Milwaukee. This took place August 10th of '97. The lineup was Foxy Brown, Erykah Badu, Brand New Heavies, The Roots, Cypress Hill, and George Clinton and the P-Funk All-Stars. This is what the flyer looks like right there. I kept the flyer after all of these years. And here's my ticket stub. Not really a stub, it's a whole ticket, but that's my ticket from the actual show. Now, I got to give you a little bit of backstory that'll kind of tie in what we're going to talk about here. On some other videos, I mentioned a partner of mine from back in the day, Professor Pitt. Rest in peace. But Pitt was like he was an MC, and he also had a public access show. We both had public access shows on Channel 14 in Milwaukee back in the day. Pitt and I helped each other out a lot. I've mentioned this before, but sometimes I would run a camera for him. Sometimes he would run a camera for me. And so we worked together a lot. We got into a lot of shows, sometimes together, sometimes separately. My show pretty much generated around DJs and DJing. And Pitt's show was generated around MCing and then hip hop in general, but mostly MCing. My show was called Daryl's DJ Spotlight. Pitt's show was called Mental Fitness Zone Other Level Pitt. So some shows we would get in legit. Some shows we would sneak into. This particular show, we got into legit. I used to do. I used to work with a company called Red Ant, and what I did was back in the '90s. You know, me being a DJ, I was just trying to get free vinyl from the labels, so I didn't have to go out and buy retail. So what I would do is I would write, you know, to different labels, or I would reach out to people, call them up and whatnot. And there was this company called Red Ant. They worked along with Delicious Vinyl. So what would happen was a lot of these companies would send me videos, and I would say, okay, well, I got a video show. So I would make a show just about music videos, mostly rap, a little tiny little bit of R&B, acid jazz, stuff like that. So I would have to put these videos together and then just send them a copy. I never aired any of these videos. I would just put them together, edit them, make a copy, and then send it out to let them know that there was an actual show going on. So Red Ant worked with Delicious Vinyl. For those who don't know, Delicious Vinyl was a label out of California, and they had groups like Far Side and Young MC and Master Ace and Brand New Heavies and, you know, groups like that. So because Red Ant worked with Delicious Vinyl and Brand New Heavies was on Delicious Vinyl at the time, and the Brand New Heavies was going to be on this tour, I would hit up Red Ant and ask them, hey, can we get some passes for the show so we could interview the Brand New Heavies? And they obliged us. It was really cool because I forgot the the gentleman I spoke to. I'm not sure if he was a manager or a road manager or what, but we made arrangements to meet up early that day of the show and get these backstage passes. So I remember we pulled up to Pitt and I pulled up to a hotel somewhere in Milwaukee, and we see the tour bus. So I go over there, I knock on the door. Pitt stays in the car, and this gentleman opens the door, and we talk and blah blah blah. Brand New Heavies are on the bus. And he goes, yeah, no problem, and he gives us a couple of backstage passes, which looks like this. I got two of them here. Now, if you take a real good look at that, it says that I'm a guest of the Brand New Heavies. So what the guy told me, he says, okay, after the interview, this was later on at the actual show, we get in, and he says, hey, after the interview, you guys, you know, basically got to leave. You know, basically leave, not leave the venue, but we got to leave the backstage area. And we're like, yeah, no problem. Anyway, so we do the interview. And actually, this was one of the interviews where I was working the camera for Pitt, and Pitt was actually interviewing the Brand New Heavies. I can't remember I think it was when Nia Davenport was with them. She was the lead singer. I think it was her. Or it might have been the Sierra, whatever her name, Garrett or whatever. I can't remember which one of those it was. But they were mad cool. We did a great interview, this, that, and the other thing. And we leave. But we're in the show, so we ain't going nowhere. So as Pitt takes off in one direction, I take off in another direction, and he's got a big camera. I've got my smaller camcorder type camera, and we just go searching around the place. So we end up interviewing the Roots. And let me just go back and say, and I've said this before on other videos, Professor Pitt was a madman. The guy was crazy. He had the craziest show, hip hop show that you've ever seen. He had the craziest rap show that you've ever seen. He was a wild guy. Plus, because it was public access, you could curse. I would never curse. But you could curse on there. You could pretty much show anything short of nudity on public access. You could show various types of drug use. Daryl D is drug free, by the way. Always has been. Always will be. But you just couldn't say certain things. You couldn't show nudity. You couldn't say the word marijuana or any of that kind of stuff. There was very little you couldn't do on public access. And for those of you who know about public access back in the 90s, pretty much anywhere in the country, you know what I'm talking about. They had the craziest activist shows, the craziest religious shows, the craziest artsy type. It was crazy back then. So we interview the Roots, and I'm going to tell you guys where you can see some of this footage later, or I'll put a link down below. You could, or the Roots, when Pitt's doing his whole intro of the Roots and blah, 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 they're looking at him like he's crazy. That's like, what did we just walk into? Pitt was crazy. So you can tell that they're like really having a good time, and they're like, oh, okay, this dude's a nut job. We with it, right? So we do a great interview with the Roots, nice and long interview too, and they really get into it. We also interviewed Cypress Hill, and Psycho Realm was with Cypress Hill on that tour. Psycho Realm, if you know them some crazy cats too. They way crazier than Cypress Hill. Psycho Realm, them some crazy dudes. So we interviewed all of them. And Pitt being Pitt, they were like, whoa, this guy's crazy. After the interview, they told us, Be Real said, this is the best interview we have ever done. That's what he told us. And it was because it was pretty much no holds barred. You guys are going to see what I'm talking about. Trust me. So I think we interviewed Cypress Hill. I think we interviewed them out. I don't know. Yeah, they were all in the dressing rooms. No, Cypress Hill was in their dressing rooms, and then the Roots and Brand New Heavies was in an area that they called the press area, I guess. Something like that. It was like the third floor of the Marcus Amphitheater in Milwaukee. So I'm looking around, and somebody was asking me about that, which is pretty much while I'm telling this story. I'm looking for Erica. Okay, I'm looking for Erica. And so I'm walking around the venue. The second floor, I believe, is where all of the dressing rooms were. So I'm looking around. I got my little camera. I don't know where Pitt is. He's off doing whatever. And I find Erykah Badu's, I find her dressing room. And you know what? I just walked in. I walked in like I own the place. And when I walk in, there's a couch, like pretty much as soon as you walk in there, and Erica is she's sitting on the couch, but she's in like this really beautiful position, almost like, she's doing a photo shoot. And I walk up to her, I greet her, I tell her my name and what I'm doing there. Let me tell you, you think Erykah Badu is beautiful? You should see her up close. It will change your life. Let me tell you something. You talk about a goddess. You talk about a queen goddess from some exotic land. That's Erica up close. She's already mesmerizing from a distance. Up close, it's even better. So I told her what I was there for. I asked her if I could do an interview. She declined. She very nicely declined. She said, I won't do an interview, but I will do some drops for you. And I was like, great. So I got some drops for my show. I got some drops for Pitt's show, which you'll see. Hopefully you'll see it. And she did some drops for my buddy Rob's show, who had a show called Robots Review. So I got a bunch of drops. She wrote her address down for me on a piece of paper that I still have to this day. It was an address to her apartment, an apartment she had in Brooklyn, New York at the time. And she said, make sure you send me a copy of the show when it's all done. I said, no problem. So, man, that was crazy. So then we also get to interview George Clinton. But we interviewed George Clinton at his hotel room later on that night. Now, if you want to hear the whole story about how that happened, look at the very last video that I posted. It's called Q&A Hike. Questions and answers while I'm hiking. Go look at that video and I explain the whole the whole experience about how we interviewed George Clinton in his hotel room later on that night. It was a great experience. So, I don't remember a ton that night about the actual performances because we were backstage most of the time getting footage. And it was like a rare occasion. You had to do, we didn't have no clout. And we did everything we could to just get footage of anybody, in our realm of music who would let us interview them, give us some footage or whatever. So the fact that we were backstage at this huge tour, we took advantage of everything we could. Now, I don't remember much about Foxy Brown. I don't remember anything about her performance. I'm not even sure if she was actually there. Maybe she was and we just didn't see her or run across her. I'm not sure. But the fact that, we were able to interview everybody else on that tour, not Erica, but at least I made contact with her. And it was fantastic. Now, what I want to do is, I have posted a while back an episode of Pitt's show. It's the only one. It's called Mental Fitness is on Another Level Pitt. I will put a link below. Here's what you're going to see on that show. First of all, you're going to see how crazy Pitt was. And I mean crazy in a good way. I guarantee you've never seen any other rap show like this ever. And you probably never will again. But what you're going to see is you're going to see Erykah Badu do a drop for Pitt's show. You're going to see, you're going to see that Roots interview. You're going to see most of that Roots interview. Not all of it because he edited it down some. And so, but you're going to see the Roots and you're going to see their reactions and how cool it was. I mean, Kamal, Hub, like everybody's, a part of the interview. It's fantastic. And what you're also going to see is all the way at the end of the show. No, you're going to see At the end of the show, you're going to see a clip of George Clinton, and he pretty much sets it up like this is what you're going to see on the next show. Here's a small little clip of what you're going to see on the next show. And that also happens with Cypress Hill. You're going to see a little clip of Cypress Hill, and it'll say something like, hey, on the next show, this is a little snippet of what to expect on the next show. Excuse me. So you're going to see both of those on there too. Unfortunately, excuse me. Unfortunately, that's the only episode of Mental Fitness that I have from Pitt. At least the only one that I could find. I think I have another episode somewhere. Hopefully I can find that one day and post it. But you're going to want to go and check out that video, and everything I'm saying is going to make sense. First thing you want to do is go check out my last video, Q&A hike, and hear about the whole George Clinton experience. And then take a look at Mental Fitness. I'll put both of those links down below, and then it'll kind of make sense. That tour and us getting in there was more so for Pitt show due to the fact that it was more rap related stuff, if you will, rap, R&B, funk, whatever, and not so much DJ related stuff. As a matter of fact, there was not one DJ there that I spoke to. If my memory serves me correct, I think Houdini was also on this tour. But I'm not sure. I remember Houdini being there. But we didn't get to... Well, did we? We've interviewed Houdini a few times, so I'm not sure exactly if we interviewed them on that show or not. Anyway, so that's Memories of the Smoke and Grooves tour. I forgot, I was talking to somebody a few days ago, and we were talking about the whole Erykah Badu thing, and I went to go look for that footage, and I couldn't find it, and I was like, man, I never made a show about the 97 Smoke and Grooves tour. I've done 96, might want to check that out. I've done 98, that's a real interesting one. Might want to check that one out. And then, I've talked about this show, just snippets here and there on different videos over the last few years. Oh, here's another VIP backstage pass from the Brand New Heavies. I'm not sure where I got this one from. Anyway, those are my memories, most of them anyway, of the 1997 Smoke and Grooves tour. Let me tell you something. They do not do it like this anymore. Look at that lineup. Could you imagine going to a show with a lineup like that? That's an actual tour. This was pretty great. So, yeah, I'm going to put those links down below. Check them out and tell me what you think. All right? That's all I got for you right now. This is Daryl D TV. Thank you guys for watching. Peace and love.